I don't love that for the third straight week, I have to start this video with a bit of a memorial type of thing, but I guess it has to be done. Paul Tagliabue was the NFL commissioner I think a lot of us grew up to. He was the first NFL commissioner a lot of us knew when we started watching this game and started following this sport. And he kept peace when it came to the NFL and helped build it into what it is today. From 1989 to 2006, Paul Tagliabue held it down in the NFL. Obviously, he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for all of his contributions and his efforts. He deserved this honor and helped us continue to follow what the NFL turned into. The Browns, as we know them, obviously don't exist without him. Neither do the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars, or Carolina Panthers. Obviously, I will be talking about all four of these teams in this video. But they don't exist without Paul Tagliabue and everything he did to try to help foster this league along. And then pass the torch on to Roger Goodell, who's obviously taken it to unprecedented financial heights over the last almost 20 years of his stewardship and leadership. But Paul Tagliabue set the standard for being a commissioner before Roger Goodell and everybody else in other leagues. And without Tagliabue, the NFL doesn't exist as we know it. So my condolences to Paul Tagliabue's family, and rest in peace to him. He was 84. And now let's get to the Railway recap for week number 10. All aboard! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, football fans, ladies and I am Beast Mikey. I'm now arrived in my train of thought. It's time to talk about week 10, and let's not waste any more time. We got a lot to talk about, and not a lot of interesting games to talk about. Let's get to business right away. None of the night games in this week were any bit of exciting and any bit of good for a large proportion of them. We start in Denver, where at least the uniforms were good. The Raiders white on silver. Okay, that's dope. But so is the Broncos orange crush uniforms, which I love to see that they're wearing them against their division rivals. And they work out. They're clean. I like the orange crush look. Some teams just look better with throwbacks. The Broncos do. The Dolphins do. The Seahawks do. The Tampa Bay Creamsicles, I used to not like them, but they've grown on me. I dig those as well. Like there's a lot of teams that rock throwbacks that are super clean and should do like the Chargers did and just make them their full-time unis. Anyway, aside from that, and the Troy Franklin touchdown, not much else is really redeemable about this game. Both quarterbacks threw innos. Geno Smith was injured, but he wasn't very good in either form, whether healthy or not. Ashton Jeanty at least scored a touchdown, which is fine. But other than that, this was really a straightforward game by the Bronco defense, who did their damage and took care of their business. Very impressive performance by Denver to make sure that they're 8-2. Even though not a lot of people believe in their 8-2, they do have 8 wins, and they're on their way to the playoffs surely. They do have a signature win against the Eagles, yes, but Denver could use one against their next opponent. I will talk about them tomorrow when I do my games of interest. This game was fun, though, in Berlin between the Falcons and the Colts. And this was a fun game to monitor and to pay attention to, as I told you I would for Sirius, on all three platforms, the Westwood, the Colts feed, and the Falcons feed. And kind of hearing the different reactions from all sides of it simultaneously, it was a real nice experience to have and really to do. So I dig that. And when it came to this game, it lived up to what it could have been. 2 good offenses and defenses when they know what they're doing. Daniel Jones wasn't as self-destructive as he was last week, because that's hard to do, though he did have some moments where he fumbled and he made some mistakes, sure. Mike Penix was okay at different points. He didn't really cook Sauce Gardner like a lot of people would have wanted, but he did a decent job. And getting the ball to Drake London always seemed to work. I didn't love the clock management by Raheem Morris. I think that was a little weird. But this game did get to overtime all the same after clutch late field goal to send it there. And Jonathan Taylor was the one constant, and him and Tyler Warren were the 2 best players on the field in Berlin. They were spectacular in this game, especially Taylor, who ran for 200-plus yards. And 83 of them on a long TD run that tied his career mark. And now he is taking aim for the touchdown record that David Tomlinson had so long ago. Ironically, when Tagliabue was still the commissioner, or at least last year of it, or the first year of Goodell's, like 2006. So this is the first year of Goodell. Anyway, this was Taylor basically making another stamp on what's been a signature year for him as he scored the game-sealing touchdown as the Colts literally ran the ball almost the entire drive in overtime to close that out and to win this game and to stay atop the AFC South as efficiently as they have been. Atlanta's season is effectively doomed over the last month because they have been really bad over the last few weeks when it comes to getting stops and they've needed to. Then again, to be fair to the Falcons, not many teams have stopped Jonathan Taylor at all. Let's talk about the New York teams. And first, the Jets, who played in New York. Well, New Jersey. They played in New Jersey. Everyone knows that. And Cleveland's offense needs to be ashamed of itself. The Jets literally beat the Browns off 3 plays. I'm not making this up. They literally scored their 3 touchdowns off of the 3 of the 4 longest plays or so of their season. They scored one off a kickoff return after the Browns struck first in this game. They scored off a punt return later on in this game. And then just when things were done with the long touchdowns that were allowed, this time it was Breece Hall, who basically caught a screen where Justin Fields was getting ripped apart and took it to the crib that way. And that's basically how they added a couple field goals short, but that's basically how the Jets won. They literally won this game off 3 plays. So what we've learned here is nothing new. Dylan Gabriel's still not any good, and the Jets defense, even without Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner, turned out to be halfway decent. Well, except for David Njoku that one time. That was not great, but anyway, they turned out to be halfway decent, and the Jets ended up winning this game as well, which you would think would hurt their draft situation. It kind of sort of didn't, because a lot of bad teams won on Sunday. I'll talk about some more of them later. But for the Browns, this is still a win that you could have had and chose not and opted not to because of 3 plays. Yikes. So, can a New York or New Jersey team beat a other Midwestern team that started with a C in their respective conference? This answer was no. It should have been yes. The Giants started out pretty well. They did their thing. Jackson Dart was doing his thing. Taylor Williams threw an unnecessary things were going well for the Giants. All was good. A double-digit lead was fine. And then Jackson Dart gets hurt. He gets concussed on a fumble, did not come back. And because of this, Russell Wilson came in. And because of this, the Giants' offense went absolutely nowhere from the rest of this game pretty much. Meanwhile, the Bears, knowing that the Giants have no offense, and were able to move forward and get things done in the fourth quarter especially. Norma Dunzy was able to get things done and score touchdowns as we get back to the regularly scheduled program of avoiding DJ Moore like he's the plague or something. There were 6 drops in this game by Bears receivers. That didn't help either. But DeAndre Swift came back. He was nice. And Hamona guy did some good work, scoring another touchdown. And Caleb Williams is able to run one in, which also helps the cause for Chicago. And the Bears win a game they probably shouldn't have. The Giants lose another game where they've had a late lead in the fourth quarter. They're third with a double-digit one in the fourth quarter. And this loss was too much for Brian Daboll to survive, as he was fired Monday morning, and Giants fans were probably very happy. But unfortunately, there's a poison pill to this. Joe Shane was allowed to stay. I guess the Giants went 1-2 this week. Now we get to Carolina and New Orleans. And in theory, okay, Carolina should beat up a bad Saints team and we move forward. They did not. Why? Well, one reason for this is Chris Olave. And Chris Olave looking healthy and looking good when healthy. J.C. Horn falling down was not great, and Olave punished them with a long touchdown catch. This was a good performance by the Saints, who got rewarded for the hard work that they've had for a lot of these games. Not the last few, but a lot of these games when the Saints battle and they fight and they just don't have enough guys to seemingly get it home. But this time they kind of did, and that is impressive for New Orleans to be able to get this home and get this done. and get this win. And for Carolina, it's incredibly disappointing that Rico Dowdle aside, this offense just did not move at all. Bryce Young didn't move at all against a Saints defense that gets cooked by anybody with a competent offense. This is a really disappointing loss for the Panthers. And for New Orleans, it's at least a good win that allows us all to think that your hard work was kind of sort of worth it. Good job, Saints. Brothers Feline from Carolina to Jacksonville. And a game where the Jaguars had no business losing. They were destroying Houston for 3 quarters. This was a 19-point lead going into the 4th of them. And then for some reason, things went really bad. The Giants lost their quarterback, but Jacksonville, you don't have such an excuse. You also don't have an offensive line, but then again, neither do the Giants, as Trevor Lawrence was under siege pretty much the entire time. Now, to be fair, a lot of quarterbacks are going to be under siege by Houston's great duo of pass rushers and Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, but it shouldn't have been like this. It should not have gotten any closer than the beating that Jacksonville was administering for most of this game, especially when Davis Mills is your quarterback, not C.J. Stroud. Mills, to be fair to him, did his part in scoring touchdowns and getting down the field in those 4th quarters to get this lead at the very end of the game. And for a hilarious reason, the last play of the game was a pass rush that Jacksonville couldn't withstand. Sack, strip fumble, pick man 6, and the pick 6, actually, a pick 6, technically. Houston, instead of losing by 19 to start the quarter, goes on a 26-0 run in the 4th quarter to end up winning by 7. Hilarious work. Jacksonville with a hilarious loss, and they give up a game that had no business losing in the AFC South, and the Texans really helped the Colts out here. Hilarious work by the Jaguars. And even worse than this isn't funny, Travis Hunter's going to have knee surgery and he's now out for the season. So Jacksonville with 2 major L's this week. And what was the Brady Bowl, if you will? Patriots and the Bucks. This was a very good showcase for Drake May and company. The Patriot offense continues to go to work. And in this case, they didn't really allow for Baker Mayfield to make the runs that Baker Mayfield's normally had. Although I will say this, it wasn't necessarily May that was the star of this show. This one was Travion Henderson, who had 2 major long runs in the second half of this game to pretty much put this game out and put this game on ice. Very impressive performance by the Patriots in general, not just May, who was fine, but the fact that Henderson came in and got in where he fit in was also really good. The Patriots have been on fire lately, and they're looking like a real threat to come out the AFC in what's been a wild conference this year. They're 8-2 and have got a real shot at the 1 seed. The color purple, which one is stronger? The Ravens' darker version or the Vikings' lighter version? It turned out to be the former, and Baltimore was clearly the better team in a lot of this, and most of this wasn't really Derrick Henry. Justice Hill did his part, yes. Lamar Jackson did his part, sure. But the other part of this is that the Raven defense is rounding into shape, and they're not what they were even a month ago, where they were getting absolutely torched by everybody in front of them. They did a great job on Justin Jefferson, only allowing 37 yards against him. They couldn't stop Jalen Naylor, but I think you'll take that. You lock down Jefferson in exchange for Naylor going off. Okay, fine. I think every team will take that. And even without Derrick Henry having a monster game, the Ravens were perfectly fine running the ball. This was a good performance by Baltimore. And another one that is showing us all that the Ravens are far from dead. They're coming back, and they're coming for everyone and everything. They've got some business to attend to and things to make up. AFC North's in a little bit of trouble, and by a little, I mean a lot of trouble. The Ravens are coming for that division. And now we're going to get to the beatdown portion of the week, because there were a lot of them. Only one in the 1 o'clock set of games, but all of the 4 o'clocks. Kids, talk to him, please.
Stop! He's already dead.
Thank you very much. And we're going to talk about the Dolphins-Bills first. And okay, we expected this to be a blowout, right? A lot of people did. A lot of people expected the Bills crowd, who made the trip all the way down to South Florida, they invaded the bar on Saturday night, to be able to celebrate yet another win against the Dolphins. There was no celebrating after the 2-0 that started the game off for the Bills at all. Miami then came down the field and scored, and off they went. This was a dominant performance by the Dolphins, who showed that Once again, you can run on Buffalo if you're physically inclined enough to do so, and you have enough of an explosive running back that can get that job done. In this case, it's Devon Achane, who 174 yards rushing and 2 scores, both of them late, and both of them basically put the game away, were daggers to the heart of Bills fans who have not taken this loss very well. It's actually quite hilarious to see that. The Bills were really bad also when it came to getting to the red zone at all. And when they got there, up until the fourth quarter, they couldn't hold on to the ball. They turned over the ball 3 times. 2 by fumble. Josh Allen once on a tush push that got 15 yards, then he fumbled. And then another by James Cook on what was a 9-minute drive, and they got nothing out of it because Cook fumbled. They had another Allen turnover. This was in the end zone, and this was a really dominant Dolphin performance, who also showed something else that's another flaw for the Bills. Their outside receivers are not getting the job done. Kincaid was fine. Cool. Knox when he was able to catch passes. Okay, cool. Yes, Coleman scored, but for the most part, guys by the name of Juju Brents and Jason Marshall were doing very good work on the Bills' exterior receivers. That is a bad look when corners that barely played for Miami, in the case of Brents, his first start in his career, were able to lock down Bills receivers. Buffalo's in real trouble here, and right now, they're barely in the playoffs. Is there a world where the Bills don't make it? There might be. And now we're going to go from Florida, in this case Miami, all the way out to Seattle. So it's the furthest you can go when it comes to 2 NFL teams. And by the time the Dolphins game ended, the Seattle game effectively did. It was 14-0 before you could blink, where we already had 2 touchdowns by DeMarcus Lawrence, and both of which by strip sacks. And this Seattle game was already done. You look up again, it's 35-7, and it's like, oh, okay, Arizona just decided not to show up. Okay, understood. Fine, Seattle just pummeled them into the ground. And they did. Jacksonville, of course, did his thing. Sam Darnold did his thing. And there were a couple of the obligatory Seahawk turnovers because, of course, no Seahawk game is completely stress-free. But this one was as close to stress-free as you could possibly get because it ended really early. Seattle with another beatdown, and they're really good. This top 10 offense and defense is nasty. There's a world where Jackson Smith-Njigba gets 2,000 yards and doesn't get anywhere close to the MVP because Jonathan Taylor is so good right now. At least get JSN the Offensive Player of the Year upon Taylor getting MVP. At least do that. I think that would be a fair compromise. Seattle, take your free win. Arizona, at least you didn't have to stress over this loss. And now we're going to fly back from one Washington to another. In this case, D.C. Well, technically Andover, Maryland. Donald Trump was in the building, and our 45th and 47th president was booed loudly. A lot of people heard it. A lot of people saw it. So he got flipped off by a couple of people. But anyway, this ain't about him. What this is about is the massacre that the Lions had prepared for the Commanders, who were basically dead, but the Commanders took another beating in the form of Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs was basically unstoppable in this game. He scored 3 tugs, one of which receiving. He could not be stopped. Amon-Ra St. Brown did his thing. Jameson Williams flipped in the end zone, as you can see here. This was a bloodbath by the Lions, who were probably not happy with how they played last week against the Vikings. They certainly took out their pound of flesh on the Commanders, while the Commander-in-Chief was watching all of it and even talked in the third quarter about it. Anyway, Detroit with another beatdown and another loud, powerful statement as they are reclaiming ownership of the NFC North for now. For Washington, their season's effectively dead and they're crashing out. Daron Payne and Jaron Allen both got ejected for punching people. The former got suspended already for the next game in Madrid against the Dolphins. Terry McLaurin's also not playing, and neither is Jaden Daniels, as we all know. This is not a good year for the Commanders. And some would argue it's because they went to Hard Rock Cafe on 11th and Market and tried to take over the building. They have not been right since. And now from Landover, Maryland, back out to the Bay in San Francisco, where this was also a beatdown. This was at least somewhat kind of competitive at different points. The Niners tried to keep up with the Rams, but the hottest offense in the last month or so continues to stay hot. Matt Stafford with another 4-touchdown game. Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua doing their thing once again. More dominant performances by this Rams offense. Another 40-burger and Kyron Williams obligatory tight end because, of course, he did. This was an easy beating for the Rams, who got their lick back against a Niner team that somehow beat them about a month ago in LA, which was absolutely a home game for the Niners. The Rams didn't invade Levi Stadium like Niners fans invaded SoFi, like I thought they wouldn't, but they at least got their lick back and their revenge. Good win for the Rams. For the Niners, no shame. You're still in a wild card hunt. I don't know if you can catch the Seahawks and Rams for the division. I just don't think you have the bodies for it. Mac Jones is okay, but again, he's undermanned and outgunned by a Rams offense that is on point right now. One could argue that the Rams should be undefeated and are probably 3 or 4 plays away from such. But they have 2 losses, and it's kind of their own fault for both of them. Speaking of LA, let's talk about the Chargers and talk about the Steelers basically making that game a home game. We knew that was coming. But what we didn't know was that Aaron Rodgers would look incredibly old against the Charger defense. They were in his face all night long, and they were not nice about it. Khalil Mack with his safety here to give it a baseball score of Angels 5 and the Pirates 3. Something like that. Other things that happened were the fact that the Steelers had no answers for Lat McConkey when he was doing an inside slant, or Keenan Allen when he was doing an inside slant, or, well, anyone else who was doing inside slants. They can't even stop that. Jalen Ramsey being a safety is cool, but nobody on the outside seems to be adept at covering their receivers. McConkey had a big day. Herbert, though he was under siege for a lot of this game, he got sacked a bunch because the Chargers offensive line is basically silly string and putty at this point, had still a decent day when he wasn't being bullied pretty much by the Steelers pass rush. But it's obvious. The obvious thing that is very clear at this moment is simple. When the Steelers aren't forcing a bunch of turnovers, they're not winning games like this. They're not beating good teams like this. See, the only reason why they beat the Patriots and the Colts is because those turnovers they forced. They forced a bunch in those 2 games. Not much else otherwise when it comes to facing a competent team. And for the Chargers, they are a very competent team. They're going to have battles later on this year. One with Denver, one with Kansas City. There will be battles that will test the Chargers some more. But they could go 4-0 if they do well enough in these battles. So that game with a Pennsylvania team wasn't very exciting, and neither was this one with another Pennsylvania team. But at least this one was in Lambeau Field, where they were basically playing in a freezer. It's the coldest, earliest game in NFL history, as in the earliest game to happen in an NFL season that was as cold as it was last night at Lambeau. And it showed. And it showed because neither offense could do much of anything. They both fumbled, Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts, at various points in this game. The play calling at the very end of this game was incredibly stupid. And there was the one beautiful play that we'll all remember from this game was the touchdown from Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith, an absolute dot and a dime to get in the end zone and get the first touchdown on the board for the Eagles, and the only touchdown on the board for the Eagles, to be honest. Josh Jacobs did get his touchdown. Sure, that happened. Awesome. But we get to the idiocy that happened at the very end of this game. First, it was on the Eagles, who, for some reason, with 2.5 minutes to go, decided to do 2 passes. The Packers had 2 timeouts and obviously the 2-minute warning. They decided to throw it on 2nd and 3rd down. Both passes were incomplete. Green Bay keeps their timeouts. Nick Sirianni and your offensive coordinator, Kevin Pachulo, why? That was incredibly stupid. And then Green Bay decided, all right, I'll see your stupidity and I'll raise you. 4th and 1, Packers are actually driving. They're close to field goal range. Maybe another first down after this one. Probably gets you in the field goal range for Brandon McManus. They do a shotgun draw play on 4th and 1 with Josh Jacobs. The Eagles read it like a book. Once upon a time, Josh Jacobs got stuffed for a 5-yard loss, and he fumbled the ball. Turnover on downs, the end. Incredibly stupid. And then the Eagles get the ball back. Okay, cool. 1 or 2 first downs, we're done here. The Eagles then go on a 4th and 6 a couple plays later after the Packers burned their timeouts. They at least made them use their timeouts, thank goodness. And for some reason, instead of either kicking a 52-yard field goal with Jake Elliott or deciding, okay, we're just going to pooch punt this and bury the Packers close to their end zone, they decide to go for the kill shot and throw it. Let that breathe for a second. 4th and 6, you have the lead. You're not kicking, you're in field goal range with a kicker that can bang it one in from 60. We've seen it happen. and you throw it. You opt to throw the football. Thankfully, it went incomplete because Nick Sirianni and company should not be rewarded for this idiocy. And Green Bay got the ball at their own 35. So 25, 30 yards, they could actually go tie this game. They didn't get too many of them because the Packers offense is basically moving like the cinder block. And Brandon McManus had to try a 64-yard kick, and he got nowhere close. So the Eagles take your win. You were incredibly dumb at the very end of this game. I guess you won this game. I feel like both of you deserve to lose because of your idiocy, but no one else deserved the actual win that actually lost this weekend. So I guess Eagles take your win and run. This game was actually gross in so many different ways, shapes, forms, and fashions. And I think we all got football dumber while watching it. So I picked the wrong Pennsylvania team to win this week. And instead of what could have been 9-5, it ended up being even. 7-7 record for week 10. And my overall record is 86-61-1. Coming up tomorrow, power rankings. Obviously, we're going to talk about all 32 teams. And there's going to be some movement, most definitely, especially with the playoff and title tiers. Is New England worthy of title tier? I'm going to have to think about that over the next 24 hours. Anyway, before we get out of here, I want to wish all the veterans out there a happy Veterans Day. Thank you for all of your service. Those who have served, those who are serving, those who intend on serving. I appreciate you for all of your service. I have military in my family, as I'm sure most of you do. And I hope everyone gets home to their respective families safe. There was a team that was on a bye, and they're the only team in the NFL with a singular win. Tennessee, you're going to be the first stop of my next train of thought.